Hi, I'm James Martinez, and this is the story of how my family's greed became their biggest downfall. They thought they were getting a failing restaurant, but they didn't realize what they were really buying, or rather, what they weren't. My father's restaurant, Casa Martinez, had been the heart of downtown Chicago for 30 years. It wasn't just a business, it was our family's legacy, built from the recipes my grandmother brought from Mexico and the dreams my father carried when he immigrated here with nothing but hope in his pockets. I grew up in that kitchen, learning every recipe, every secret, every tiny detail that made our food special. The smell of roasting chilies and fresh tortillas was the soundtrack of my childhood. But everything changed when my mother passed away, and 2 years later, my father married Diana. Diana came with two sons from her previous marriage, Marcus and Alex. From day one, they looked at Casa Martinez not as a family legacy, but as a goldmine waiting to be exploited. They saw our loyal customers, our prime location, our reputation, and they wanted it all. At first, they played nice. Diana would help at the restaurant, learning the operations while her sons took management positions. My father, still grieving and lonely, was just happy to have a full house again. I watched it all from the kitchen, where I worked as head chef, keeping my mother's recipes alive. James, honey, Diana would say, her voice sweet as syrup, but her eyes cold as ice. Don't you think it's time to modernize? These old recipes, they're so traditional. People want fusion cuisine now. But our customers didn't want fusion. They came for my grandmother's mole sauce, for the tamales that took 2 days to prepare, for the traditions that made Casa Martinez special. Our revenue proved it. We were doing better than ever. Then my father got sick. Cancer, aggressive and unforgiving. Everything happened so fast. Between hospital visits and chemotherapy sessions, Diana and her son started making changes. They hired new staff, changed suppliers, and slowly pushed me away from operational decisions. Just focus on cooking, James, Marcus would say, waving away my concerns about their expensive renovations. Leave the business to those who understand it. I had a business degree from Northwestern and had practically run the restaurant for the past 5 years. But they conveniently forgot that. One night, as I was closing up, I overheard Diana and her sons in the office. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but their words froze me in place. The lawyer says we can do it, Diana was saying. Robert's too sick to properly manage his assets. If we can prove the restaurant is failing, we can get emergency power of attorney and force a sale before he recovers, if he recovers. But it's not failing, Alex objected. It's making more money than ever. That's why we need to help it fail, Marcus replied with a laugh. A few health code violations, some bad reviews, a couple of convenient kitchen accidents. I felt sick to my stomach. They were planning to deliberately tank my father's life's work. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They underestimated how much I'd learned over the years. What they didn't know was that 6 months earlier, when my father first got his diagnosis, he had signed over several key aspects of the business to me. Not the building or the restaurant itself. He wanted those to stay in his name until he was gone. But he gave me something far more valuable. I spent the next few weeks watching as they executed their plan. Suddenly we had health code violations. Mysterious bad reviews appeared online. Equipment started breaking down mysteriously. Our reputation was taking hits, and I could see the stress wearing on my father. Deanna played her part perfectly, acting concerned and supportive, while suggesting that selling might be the best option. The stress isn't good for your health, darling, she'd tell my father. Let's just sell it and focus on your recovery. Finally, they made their move. At the hospital, with my father weak from chemotherapy, Diana brought in her lawyer. They had papers showing the restaurant's recent struggles, the mounting debts that they had created, and a proposal. Sell the restaurant now, to them, for a nominal fee of $1, to keep it in the family. My father, tired and confused, looked at me. James, what do you think? Diana jumped in before I could answer. James understands this is for the best, don't you, James? You can still be the chef, if you prove yourself worthy of the position. I looked at my father, then at Diana's smug face, and nodded slowly. If that's what you want, Dad. The next day, we all gathered at the restaurant for the official handover. Diana had invited their friends, making it a celebration of their rescue of a failing family business. The lawyer laid out the papers as Diana practically bounced with glee. Just sign here, James, she said, pointing to the line at the bottom of the transfer document. "It's only worth $1 now anyway, thanks to your inadequate management." I signed my name with a steady hand, then looked up at their triumphant faces. "Congratulations," I said quietly. "The building and business are yours." "Finally," Marcus exclaimed. "Now we can make some real changes around here." I packed up my personal items from the office, including my mother's old recipe box. As I headed for the door, Diana called out, "Don't forget to be here early tomorrow. Just because you're not the owner anymore doesn't mean you can slack off." I turned back with a small smile. "Oh, I won't be coming in tomorrow, or ever again, actually." "What are you talking about?" Alex demanded. "You see," I said, "you just bought a building and a business name. But 6 months ago, my father transferred something else to me. I own all the recipes, every single one. They're fully copyrighted and trademarked under my personal holding company. I also own the Casa Martinez brand identity, logo, and most importantly," I paused, watching their faces, "I own all the supplier contracts and relationships personally." The color drained from Diana's face as I continued. "So congratulations on your new restaurant. I'm sure you'll do great serving whatever it is you plan to serve. It just won't be Casa Martinez food. Oh, and those suppliers you've been working with. They'll be delivering to my new location across town starting tomorrow." The silence that followed was deafening. Diana's perfectly manicured hands gripped the edge of the desk, her knuckles turning white. "You can't do this," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Those recipes belong to the restaurant." Actually, I pulled out another set of documents from my briefcase. "They don't. Everything was legally transferred to Martinez Culinary Group, LLC, my company, months ago. Dad knew what he was doing. He might be sick, but he's far from stupid." Marcus lunged forward, grabbing my shirt. "You little snake. You planned this all along." "Careful," I warned calmly. "Assault charges wouldn't look good for your new business. And yes, I planned this right after I overheard you plotting to deliberately tank my father's legacy." Their lawyer, Mr. Peterson, was frantically flipping through the sale documents. This is highly unusual," he stammered. "The intellectual property should have been included in the sale." "Check page 37. I suggested. "The sale clearly specifies physical assets and business name only. You really should read the fine print more carefully." Diana's face contorted with rage. "We'll sue you." "Well, sue me for what?" I interrupted. "For legally protecting my family's heritage? For stopping you from destroying what my father built?" "Go ahead." "Oh, and while you're at it, you might want to explain to the judge how you manipulated a cancer patient into selling his life's work for $1. I turned to leave, but paused at the door. "One more thing. I've submitted all documentation of your deliberate health code violations to the city health department. They're very interested in speaking with the new owners. I'd expect them first thing tomorrow morning." As I walked out of Casa Martinez for the last time, I heard Diana's anguished scream of rage. But I didn't look back. I had work to do. The next 6 months were a whirlwind. While Diana and her son struggled with health department investigations and tried to create new recipes for their empty restaurant, I was busy building something new. I opened Mama Martinez's kitchen just across town, taking our loyal staff, suppliers, and most importantly, our recipes with me. The grand opening was packed with familiar faces, customers who'd been coming to us for decades, who knew the taste of our authentic food couldn't be replicated. Word spread quickly. Food critics raved about how we preserved the traditional flavors while upgrading to a beautiful new location. Our old customers followed us, bringing new ones with them. Within months, we had lines out the door every weekend. Meanwhile, Diana's version of Casa Martinez floundered. Without our recipes, suppliers, or experienced staff, they couldn't recreate what made the restaurant special. They tried serving generic Mexican food, then attempted fusion cuisine, but nothing worked. The reviews were brutal. "It's like a soul has been ripped out of the place," one reviewer wrote. "The magic is gone." 3 months after their takeover, my father's cancer went into remission. The doctors called it a miracle, but I think it was pure stubbornness. He wasn't going to let go until he saw justice served. The first day he was strong enough, he came to Mama Martinez's kitchen. He walked through the dining room, tears in his eyes, touching the familiar decorations we'd moved from the old place. The photos of our family, the hand-painted plates my mother had collected, the string of peppers my grandmother had hung for good luck. In the kitchen, he watched as I prepared his favorite dish, chilla and nogada, just like his mother taught me. You did good, Mio, he said softly. You protected our legacy better than I ever could. Diana and her sons tried to hold out, but the numbers didn't lie. 6 months after their triumphant takeover, they were forced to sell the building at a massive loss. The final insult? The buyer was my newly formed real estate company. I kept the building but leased the space to a local art gallery. Sometimes I walk by the old location, remembering the sounds and smells that filled it for so many years. The Casa Martinez sign is gone, but the memories remain. Last week, I received a letter from Diana's lawyer offering to reconcile our differences and propose a partnership. I sent back a simple response. Some things aren't for sale at any price. Mama Martinez's kitchen has now expanded to 3 locations, each one serving the same recipes that my grandmother brought from Mexico all those years ago. My father, now fully recovered, comes in every Sunday to have lunch and tell stories to the customers about how it all began. As for Diana and her sons, last I heard, they left Chicago, their dreams of an easy takeover shattered. They learned the hard way that a restaurant isn't just a building or a business. It's the heart and soul that goes into every dish, the love passed down through generations, the traditions that can't be bought or stolen. Yesterday, a young culinary student asked me why I didn't just let them have the old restaurant and start fresh somewhere else. I showed her my mother's old recipe box, the pages worn and stained with decades of use. Because some legacies, I told her, are worth fighting for. The old Casa Martinez building still stands downtown, now filled with beautiful artwork instead of dining tables. But the real Casa Martinez, the soul of it, lives on in Mama Martinez's kitchen, where every dish we serve carries the story of a family that refused to be beaten, a legacy that couldn't be stolen, and the sweet taste of justice served piping hot. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but in our case, it was served at exactly 165 degrees Fahrenheit, just like my grandmother's perfect enchiladas.